All right. Good morning, everybody. Go ahead and get started here. First thing, as usual, we look at Market Watch. Not a lot of things on the list. 10, 11:30, 12:30. So we're mostly going to be dealing with price discovery from the weekend. The easiest way to approach that is to think about all the news over the weekend has to be absorbed into the market, right? There's this logic that the market's always right, that price is reflected inside of the market with an all-knowing perspective. So, of course, when the market opens on Monday, all the news from the weekend need to be absorbed into the price action. Typical Monday takes 30 45 minutes for that to happen. That'll put us right into factory orders, maybe a little bit beyond that. The additional auctions today at 11:30, these are worth keeping your eye on. If we have a range-bound market and we come into that lunchtime zone, expect a trend to form. And if we've been trending through the morning, perhaps expect that trend to reverse. It is critical on a day like this that we keep track of lunch. Normally at lunch, it's where we expect the market to pause. We don't expect breakouts. And if we start to see one, it's expected to be a fake out breakout. But on a day like this with the additional auctions, that is not going to be the case. We could absolutely see a galvanizing rip happen right during the lunchtime. So just be aware of that. We'll start with the ES this morning. You can see we got a little bit of a wedge. We are underneath the close from last week. We did get very close to the weekly expected move. Just bring it out here for a moment. Turn on the weekly expected move. Yeah. All right. So the indicator isn't updated. We didn't get too close to the expected move. That seemed it was a little too close. We are underneath the pivot point for the day, the week, the month. These blue lines are percentage points. You can see that we're down more than 1/4%, working our way towards 0.5%. So this floor pivot, you can see that we're not far off from the previous floor pivot. Kind of gives us a gauge of day-to-day pivots. The pivot that we're looking at now is calculated based on Friday's price action. The one that was in Friday's price action was calculated based on Thursday's. So we had a very large change in pivot points here, another one back here. But between these two, not very much of a change between these two, right? Very small amount. So, perhaps we are rounding that bottom, maybe turning the corner a little bit. There is quite a bit on the agenda for the week. I covered a lot of that in the COT report. You can find that in the Bullish Bears Discord. I shared it into multiple channels. Also, I shared the document that I used as I was filming that, because there was a lot of information on Tesla and its deliveries that I shared. I didn't really want to go through the entire report talking about Tesla. So we are forming this wedge. We had a little bit of pop last night, and then the dollar came in, kind of took us back down. Again, watch the other markets around the world. Some of them are closed for holidays, some are not. It affects us due to the volume. Evergrande was halted last night in trading. Not sure if they ever turned it back on, but there's still the contagion from Evergrande. keep your eye on the news in the next few days. If they happen to do something with the debt ceiling or with this infrastructure package, it's going to really rock the market, right? It's like a lot of places are waiting for that. You would think that it's going to be good news, but a lot of times the good news is already priced in, and so when the good news finally comes out, people sell out of whatever it is that they had traded into. So don't assume automatically that the good news is going to make us go up. It's likely to, but we don't want to assume that that's going to be the outcome. It's a relatively tight trading range in the Globex for today. I wouldn't really be interested in trading inside of this range. I would be looking for a bigger play, a bigger move if we get out of that range. As I say constantly, if you're finding it hard to trade, don't trade in difficult environments. And if we are inside of yesterday's price action, you have a very high expectation that it's going to be a difficult environment. That's not always the case. We can see, Friday when that news came out, we had that nice move to the upside, just pure clean price action off that V bottom low. So, obviously, and that was inside of Thursday's price range, and still we had nice clean price action. It can happen more often than not. However, when we are sitting inside of a previous day, this is the kind of price action we get. It's not really encouraging to me. It's tradable, but yeah, it's not inspiring. It doesn't really bring me in and give me the confidence to want to trade with some large size. So we are still sitting inside yesterday's range. We're down, less than 0.5%. Plenty of room to turn things around. It's really soft. It really just seems like this market's waiting for a catalyst. So be aware, and when that catalyst comes, it could get pretty rowdy. Brings us over to the NASDAQ. Again, same kind of price action. A little bit of a pop last night at the open. Then the dollar turned things around. There is plenty of room in here for some, Globex trading, get my day done, shut things down. But if I'm looking for a big move on the day, not a lot of room in here to get that done. And it is inside yesterday's range. So if we're looking for, one of those really nice trend days, it's unlikely to unfold while we are sitting inside of that yesterday's range. The move to the upside is going to have to breach back through that pivot point, dealing with yesterday's high, dealing with the close. That close isn't just Friday's close, it's the week close, right? So when you're using pivot points from the week, weekly high, low, close, it's one of those as well. You see that dollar is making moves again this morning. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but last night when we had that pop in the dollar, it really kind of took our market down. We had that move in the bonds. So, keep your eye on these two. Just a little earlier this morning, we had the bonds and the dollar both setting at a low. And of course, you see the dollar made its move. The bonds did not. Right? So they are still holding at that double bottom while the dollar is broken, started to go. This is what we want to keep our eye on. They say that price action is the best indicator you could ever use. So looking at price on multiple products gives you a clear understanding of what's happening in the market. The dollar, the bond, and then confirming with the VIX is some of the best indicators that you could put on your chart. If the bonds and the dollar continue to make extreme moves, it is going to give us extreme reactions in our market. You want to be prepared for that. Just want to be ready to go. What I look for typically is if we are sitting at a major level of support, I look at the indexes and I check to see if they are also sitting at support. Because if they're both moving down at the same time, they'll both be at support. If they're both moving up at the same time, they'll both be at resistance. But if they are acting inverted, you'll find, for an example, the bonds at the low and the S&P against resistance. That's an indication that they're moving in the opposite direction of each other. We are sitting like right this moment at a pivotal level. So if the bonds do break here, we should see a very clear and immediate reaction out of the marketplace. These are going to be the drivers. So, keeping your eye on the news, finding a source that can evaluate the dollar effectively be a really good idea. Okay, I've got this filtered. It's not the S&P 500. It's actually just the top 100 names. Get that filter by clicking on the filter button, and where it says market cap, adjust this to where you're at 100 names. It's the top 100 names that we want. It's not perfect, but it's better than 500 names. And then I sort them by pre-market change. So what we're looking at right now is the S&P 500 filtered to 100 names and then sorted by pre-market change. And you can see it's more red than green. Blowout move in Tesla, of course, because of those delivery numbers, but some shipping in there. UPS is up this morning. Energy is kind of flat or down. Jump over to the NASDAQ 100. I don't need a filter here. I went ahead and adjusted it by 1 hour volume, so the sizes are a little off compared to what we would normally look at, but it's just the sizes. All 100 names are still here. Just the size of the box is larger or smaller based on its volume instead of based on its mega cap. Still got a couple of mixed bag names, some, Tesla, Monster. Those are in the green. Then on the other end of that, we've got, a lot of flat names. These are the gray ones that really are just slightly up or slightly down. When we come back over here, look at the S&P 100 in the watch list, sorted by change percent. Merrick, GM, Ford. Top names on the list are GM and Ford, right? Wow. But look behind that: BlackRock, American Express, Wells Fargo, Capital One, or excuse me, ConocoPhillips, Bank of America. Notice all those financial names leading the pack, right? Finance and energy have been tightly correlated this year. When we get to the sectors, really want to keep that in mind. So here's the NASDAQ 100 change percent. We're looking for, a consistent theme in here: chip sector, energy sector. We find the name in this list, we start looking at its peers, try to find, for an example, the streaming names. If one or two streaming names are up, we would want to check the other names, or the chip sector, or right, and just kind of follow it down the list, go down the rabbit hole. Stock screener with extended hours, looking at the S&P, asking how many names are up at least 25% this morning in the S&P. Not very many names at all, right? Not even 10 names. Not looking very bullish out there at all. If we check the inverse of that, instead of up 25%, we ask the question, how many are down 25%? 35 names are down at least 35%. So that's not supposed to be like that. Something ain't right. Because Tesla should not be on the list at this point. Yeah, don't think I'm going to trust that filter. Needs to be adjusted. I'll get rid of that. Guess we'll use down 0.5%. Or just down 1%. Yeah, we'll do that. Nope, still ain't right. It's too bad it won't let us put our own watch list in there to filter. And you'll just get rid of all these. Just use the sidebar. How many names in the NASDAQ 100 are up this morning? This many names, and we can do a quick glance and say it's about 15 names that are even in the green. And out of those names that are in the green, how many are up at least 25%? 3 names, 4, 5. So not a lot of names in the NASDAQ 100 that are up. And then for the S&P 100, yeah, I got to scroll a little bit. Say half the names are at least in the green, but not up by very much. If we start using that 25% rank, how many names are up at least 25%? Less than 10, right? So since the filter ain't working, we'll just do this. Still get a good understanding of what's going on out there. For the day and also for the week, think about how many sectors are down with a 1 week change and who led the way. Retail was down the most in the previous week, 3.94%. It's definitely worth taking a look at, right? And I would focus on the big retail: Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Target, Dollar Store, Amazon. If it's retail, I would be looking at it, and the bigger the better. They're down quite a bit. We could could look for some reciprocation plays on that side of the fence. Day trades, though, I wouldn't really be looking for any swing trades in that sector yet. Behind that, we've got technology services was down 3.7%. I'm always willing to trade some technology. Health technology was down, 3.25%. So use the sectors, let it help you look for the names that are down significantly, but still have the rally points to be able to come back up, get some good day trades. That's what I got for you guys this morning. Be careful. Have a good day, and I will see all of you at the Bullish Bears at 9 for the regular stream.